This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
It is VSiN Primetime as things are getting interesting and over in the All-Star game. It's now 6-4, Will Hill. So before we welcome in our guest, David Behrman here, can you update me? I was just talking to the AD of San Jose State, Jeff Konya, and I know you wanted to chime in and tell him about the situation there with the Boise State-San Jose State game that Scott Van Pelt made so famous on his Bad Beats segment. But what the heck just happened in the All-Star game?
Yeah, Maury Hone comes in, 6-0 game, a couple base runners reach, and then Brent Rooker, who was a point of contention last night with all of the controversy about the home run derby. He comes in and plays home run derby here in the All-Star game. He hits a bomb of a 3-run homer. Another run comes across, and then in a 6-4 game, Chisholm hits a line drive to first. Olsen misplays it, should be an error. I don't know how they scored it. Now we have another pitching change. So the tying run now all of a sudden comes to the plate.
Wow.
In what has turned out to be a very exciting game. 6-4, top of the seventh. 2 out, man on first. New pitcher here coming for the National League.
And the over cashes when this looked like it was an absolute dead under game. Nope. 6-4 the score, and we will continue to keep you updated on it. But we do have a big event coming up across the pond in just a little bit, and to help us break it down, our good friend David Behrman joins us courtesy of our progressive guest line. And David, you've got some exciting news, so let's get into that first and foremost. Your podcast, Betting with Behrman, has just been picked up. So where can people catch your podcast, Betting with Behrman?
Tim, thanks for having me on. Good to see you, Will. Betting with Behrman on Believe Podcast Network. You can catch it at Apple and Spotify. Believe picked it up, and we're excited to have it in conjunction with the Betting with Behrman newsletter that's out 3 days a week, and we'll have the entire Open Championship card out tomorrow in that newsletter. You go to behrmanbets.com, sign up, and then obviously go Spotify or Apple or Believe Podcasts and click on the Betting with Behrman podcast. We dropped the Open Championship one this morning, so it's out there, and the picks are there.
All right, let's dive into it once again. Top 7 in the All-Star game, and McGill on the hill, the flamethrower from the Milwaukee Brewers. So when you talk Open, when you talk anything golf, you got to start with the dude atop that leaderboard, and Scotty Scheffler. Is there going to be a Scotty Scheffler bet on the card over at Royal Portrush?
There will not be Scotty on my card this week, and I always have him on the card, and we've talked on the show about the ways to play Scotty, where it's really tough to play him to win at the low odds he gets in tournaments that you know he's going to win, and I usually like to play him in the top 5 market. I've given it out week and week again because he does do top 5s often, and of course, I like to play him live if he gets out to a slow start and get a big number. However, the reason I'm not playing him this week is everybody has their kryptonite, even the number 1 player in the world, and it's hard to call it kryptonite when he still has a top 7 finish at the Open, but that is his best finish at the Open Championship, just not his style of golf. Now, he can win at any event, he can win at any course, and it wouldn't stun me for him to win this, but at plus 450 odds, it's so low that I'm not going for a guy who has no top 5 finishes in the Open. Yes, he's won a PGA, he's won 2 Masters, he's played well everywhere in every event, but he hasn't played that well on link-style courses. Didn't get a top 5 last week at the Scottish, really wasn't in contention, even though he played well on Sunday, and just hasn't shown it on links courses. Now, can he win? Of course he can. He's Scotty Scheffler, but his struggles have been usually with the putter, and this is not a place you want to be on these greens if you can't putt very well.
David, Tyrrell Hatton's a guy that interests me. Pretty good form. Did well at the U.S. Open. Did well at the Masters. Got a good history here with the links courses. Seems like a good matchup. 30-1 in that range. Is that a bet you would approve?
It is a bet I would approve simply because 8 of Hatton's 10 wins have been over in Europe. He has a couple of U.S.-based wins. He plays the link style courses well. 30-1 is a good price. Now, the only hesitation I have on Hatton, and you saw it at the U.S. Open, is he has that tendency to blow up and lose his mind on the golf course, and this is not the place where you want to do that. You saw it at Oakmont. He was right there in the end with J.J. Spawn, had a couple of bad holes. He was done. You do that at the Open Championship, you'll be done as well. If he can keep his composure, this guy is as good as any, and I think you're getting a really good price at 30-1. I'll be playing Hatton in the top 10 and top 20 markets because I'm still worried about that blow up that cost him the win, but he's going to be there. He plays the Opens well. He played well in 2019, and I think he's someone to keep an eye on. You just know that he's going to put up a crooked number at some point.
Once again, David Behrman joining us here, courtesy of our Progressive Guest Line. And follow him, simple enough, at David Behrman. That's Bearman there on social media. He'll point you in the right directions. We had Matt Grill on the program, odds maker from DraftKings earlier in the show, David, and a guy that I know a number of sharper folks have been interested in the majors so far this year has been Jon Rahm. He has the third shortest odds. He's sitting at 12-1 right now at DraftKings, plus 115 to make a top 10. Do you believe in Jon Rahm over at the Open Championship?
I do, and he's the favorite on the board that I am going to be playing. You start with Scotty at 450. You go to Rory at 750. Homecoming for him, but you saw he didn't play well there in 2019. Maybe a little bit too much pressure. Bryson at 20-1 is also one of the top ones on the board, but hasn't played well at a link-style course in his career. So I'm going to go with Jon Rahm, and I think the 12-1 price on Rahm gives you almost double what you're getting with Rory and a guy who can play just as well as anybody here. In his last 29 majors, Jon Rahm has 14 top 10s, including 2 wins on his major card. In addition, after getting off to a slow start playing at the Open Championship, he has top 7s in 3 of his last 4 and a T11 here in 2019 in Northern Ireland, which included a final round 75 when he was in contention heading in to the final round. So I actually think this is Jon Rahm's tournament to win here. I like him out of all the favorites because you can nitpick on Scotty and nitpick on Bryson and Rory's at home, yada, yada, yada. Of all the favorites, I think Rahm at 12-1 is the best price.
David, how about first round leader? People love this market. They love the instant gratification. They love the long odds, the big payouts. Anyone you think can play well for a day or two, but not necessarily win it? Any thoughts here on first round leader?
Assuming that Corey Connors is back and healthy, and I know he got hurt a couple of events ago and hasn't played since, he's a guy that I like to get out to a fast start. He can play very well here. Usually with Corey, he has good Thursdays and Fridays, and then the putter fails him in the end, which may happen again in an Open Championship. So he's a guy that I normally have on my card to win or top 10. I'll be playing him in the first round market. Russell Henley's another guy who likes to get out to fast starts. Only has one good finish to the Open, top 5. He had a T5 last year at Royal Troon. Henley playing extremely well. Like him in this overall, I'll actually give you 65-1 on him to potentially win, but I think he's a first-round leader candidate as well. Your instant gratification, he can go out there, and a lot's going to depend, Will, on the weather. The tee times were announced this morning, and obviously this event is different than others where you're not starting on 1 in 10 and splitting the field. You're playing all day on 1. You're starting at 1, and you're playing all day, so there can be a drastic difference between the weather you get in the morning and the weather you get late afternoon as the sun's up all day out there in Ireland. I think that the weather could come into play, but we also don't know it yet since it keeps changing off the ocean.
David Behrman once again hanging with us here, getting us updated and ready for the Open Championship, which starts in the wee hours of Thursday morning. At least for you folks on the East Coast, I get a little late night Wednesday action. I believe we'll get that first swing in the club there over at Royal Portrush. All right, before we let you run, do you have some long bombs that you think are worth a sprinkle on that Open Championship card?
Henley was the one that I was going the longest on at 65-1. He's the longest one I'm playing on the board. I like Bobby McIntyre at 40-1, so a little bit longer. Not so much long bombs. I know Brian Harman won at 150-1 2 years ago, but you tend to find the Open Championship winner somewhere in the 20 to 80 range of most of the time. Obviously, you have someone like Xander Schauffele at 12-1 last year, and I'm playing Rahm this year. The deepest I'm going right now is Russell Henley, but another name I'll throw out there who's higher would be Justin Rose. The guy just shows up at major championships. I'm taking him in the top 10 at 5-1, but if you wanted to sprinkle a little bit longer at him at 80, 85-1 to win the whole thing, it's not the world's worst bet. The guy has had runner-up finishes last year at the Open and this year at the Masters, so there's a couple of guys I'm paying attention to.
David, any final thoughts? Anything we didn't get to? People you're looking to fade, golfers you're looking to fade, or any Dolphins takes you want to throw out there? I'll leave it up to you.
Not going to go with the Dolphin takes just yet. I want to at least stay a little bit optimistic. They're not going to win the division, though. I would say pay attention to Tommy Fleetwood in this event. I don't think he's going to win because he's someone who hasn't won anytime recently, but he does play out here very well, and he had a runner-up finish last time the event was in Northern Ireland in 2019. So I'm going to be playing him in the top 10. As for the Dolphins, maybe play him to finish third in second or third in the AFC East.
Betting with Behrman. Get the newsletter. Check out the podcast. Follow him at David Behrman on social media. David, always appreciate it, man, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
See you, Dave.
There it is. David Behrman.
Thanks, Dave.
Bottom of the 7th inning in Atlanta, 6-4. The National League with that lead. Who would have thunk it? Looked like we were cruising to an under, and bang, bang, we have an over. We'll wrap things up. That's Will Hill. I'm Tim Murray. Come on back. It is VSiN Primetime.